Hi, it's Celeste from Flying Otter Marketing with another WordPress tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about the difference between plugins and widgets and what you can do with those on your WordPress site. So, just a word of explanation. Plugins are something that extends the functionality of your WordPress site. They're just little snippets of code that do something on the back end or under the hood, if you will. They're a way to customize your site and make it your own. So the good news is that there are millions of plugins out there that are free for WordPress. They are plugins that do all kinds of things behind the scenes, like collecting subscribers for your mailing list, or backing up your database, or running a shopping cart, and so forth. Those are examples of plugins. And the great news about them is you can install them. You don't need a programmer. I'm going to show you. You can search for those, find the ones you want, and install them yourself. If there's something that you want to do on your WordPress site, there is probably a WordPress plugin for it. So I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. But let's back away and try to clarify something that tends to be an issue of confusion for a lot of WordPress users. The difference between plugins and widgets. Some people use those terms interchangeably, and they are different. A plugin is, like I said, it's a little snippet of code that extends your website. It's usually running in the background. It's not really anything you see, but widgets are a special kind of a plugin, a subset, if you will, of a plugin, and widgets are visible. They have some sort of a visible or interactive element. There's something you see on the front end. So the broader category is plugins, and the subset of that is widgets. All widgets are plugins, but not all plugins have widgets. Hopefully that's clear. But let's move on. So let's talk about then plugins and some of these fantastic little tools that you can install to extend your site. So let's look at the plugins that are installed on this site. Here you go. Here's a list of them. So you can see there are some administrative ones that, like Askomet, that is an anti-spam plugin. Obviously, you don't see anything on the front end. It's just a little engine that's running on the back end and performing a function. Search engine optimization, form builders, Google Analytics, and so forth. Now you'll see that some of these plugins are actually widgets. There are widgets that run with that are part of that plugin, but not all of them. So this is the list of all the plugins. This is where you'll find the list of plugins that are installed on your site. Now, here's how we're going to go search for plugins. I'm going to click this Add New button, and this will give you the option to search for plugins. Now, just a word of caution, there are plenty of plugins out there that you could download and install on your site, but I would suggest that you always go through this process to make sure that you are getting your plugins from the WordPress.org repository to make sure that they are safe, that they are tested, and you'll see in just a moment how much functionality you get and what great information you get by installing them from this WordPress repository. So let's just go and search for a plugin. Let's say, for instance, that your email marketing client is MailChimp. That's who you've signed up with, and you want to add a MailChimp list to your site, a sign up. Okay, so we're going to search for that. We just search for MailChimp. Now, as you see, it came up with, well, a lot, 46. There are 46 different plugins that registered with the word MailChimp in them. So you can see throughout here that you've got ratings. If you hover over the ratings, you'll see it's based on the 3 stars in this case is based on 84 ratings. Now that's not how many times it's been downloaded. That's just how many people have come back and rated that particular plugin. You'll see over here on the right side, you'll see a description of it, what it does, who the author is, and so forth. If you wanted to then see details about that, see a little bit more information, just click that details link. It's going to pop up a box for you here that you can read a more detailed description, see how to install it, but I'm going to show you how to install it. That's even easier than following these instructions. And screenshots, this will show you exactly what you're going to see on the back end. Alright, so this shows you from your admin panel, if you were to install this plugin, this is what you can expect to see. so forth. So this will tell you what you need to do, which customized settings you can set up, and so forth. So, all right. And then from there, you could just click the install now, but we're going to back up and look at some of these other ones and see how very different they are. So look at this one. I'm going to show you the screenshots on this one. So while it appears on the list to be fairly similar, look at the screenshot and you'll see something different. You'll see that it has a different interface, and that's because each one of these is written by a WordPress developer, someone who wrote this code and then basically donated it back to the system, to the community, so that all of us could take advantage of it. So you can see, though, in this particular case, even though there are 27 ratings that gave this particular plugin about a 4.5-star rating, the reality is it's actually been downloaded 53,598 times. This is just how many people came back and actually rated it. But in these screenshots below, you'll see what exactly you're going to have to put in, so you'll know, oh, okay, this is going to ask for my MailChimp API key. I'm going to have to get that from MailChimp, and so forth. And then this will show you how to actually install the widget, because this is a plugin that does have a widget element to it. Okay, so from here, you would click the red button to install it. As you can see, I already have this version installed, so I'm going to show you how to go back and activate it. So in your case, you would click this red button, which would say install, unless it's already installed on your site. So let's close that out. Now we're going to go over to the list of installed plugins. That was the list of searched plugins. These are the plugins that are actually installed on this site. And you see there's the MailChimp widget. Now I'm going to activate it. So once you've installed it on the site, then you just click activate. Now here's one of the great things about using plugins like this. It's going to give me this error message or a warning message from all the pages on my admin site. And you can see here, you'll need to set up the MailChimp sign up widget plugin options before using it. You can make your changes here. So it gives you a very easy way to get in there and add it. And we know from looking at the screenshots that what it's looking for is the API, which I'm not going to take the time to go and get that now. But you'll know with yours, you'll get specific warning messages that tell you what it is that you need to do. But now that plugin is activated. It's installed and activated on this site. So now all we need to do is to place the widget. So remember, the plugin is what's running behind the scenes. The widget is the visible part of it. So in order to install widgets, we're going to go over here to the appearance menu, and then you'll see the subset of that called widgets. You also may be able to access it depending on which version of WordPress is installed for you. And you've got your, up at the top here, you'll have your shortcut bar. There will probably be an appearance tab there and an option for you to access your widgets page from there. Even from the front end of your site, you'll see that. All right, so from here, I just want to point out a couple of areas on this page. You've got box here in the center working area that's called available widgets, and these are all of the widgets that are installed and active, ready to go live on your site. That's what's available to you to use. And then if you scroll down past all of those, you see a section that's called inactive widgets. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. I just want you to see the difference between those. All right, so looking over here in the right sidebar, you'll see a series of boxes that each have an arrow that are extendable. You can expand and collapse them. If you were to expand that, one of those, the primary sidebar, which is going to be seen from all pages of your website, if you were to expand that, you'll see these are all of the widgets that are currently placed in this particular site's sidebar. From that sidebar panel, you can then expand further to see what specifically is in each of those widgets. Okay, so you can see the settings that I've placed in there for each of those widgets. So let's look at, once you expand the sidebar, collapse that video widget, I'm going to show you how you can very easily add another widget to this sidebar. Now let me back away for just a moment and show you what this looks like on the front end of the website. We're going to look at the live site here. So what we're talking about here with the sidebar, that's this area here. Over in this case, the sidebar is set up to be on the right side. It could be different on your side. But you see here, there's a video widget here where a YouTube video is there ready to play. We have an image widget here that's actually a graphic that's a link. It's a graphic ad that is linked to a particular page. In this case, it's the Fight to Be Fit Weight Loss Challenge. Scroll down here, and there's another widget there that is a slideshow widget that's playing a series of images. We've got a social media widget here that's inviting site visitors to access the Facebook and YouTube, the Facebook account and YouTube channels and so forth. All right, so that's what we're talking about on the back end. Now we're going to go back to our dashboard and back to the widgets page. And here you go. So you just saw on the front end what all those widgets looked like. Here's what it looks like on the back end. So there's that video widget. Here's the image widget that was the ad. Here's the slideshow widget that was showing that series of photo images rotating. Here's the social media widget. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to add yet another widget to that. Okay, so we're just going to add a text widget. You simply click and drag and hold down with your mouse button until you get to the location where you want to drop it. And you can see I'm just moving this around with my left mouse button clicked and held. And if I drop it, there it is. It's now sitting there in the sidebar. And I can just put the word test in here. And I could put testing sidebar widget in here. And if I save this, it's now going to be showing up live on the site. I'm not going to save it because that would show up live in this in the sidebar, and we don't necessarily want that to show up there. But you can see how simple it would be to add text. Now, if I were to take this sidebar widget and decide, it's already placed there, it's live, it's been saved, but I don't think I want it there just yet. I want to tweak it. I want to do something else with it, or I'm just not quite ready to make that announcement, or whatever it is that widget, whatever the function is for that widget. If you decide that you want to remove it from the sidebar but not deactivate it, just hang on to it, put it in a holding area, you are going to click with your mouse button and drag, but don't release until you get down to, I'm going to push this down, I want to get to that bottom area of inactive widgets. And I'm going to drop it there. When you drag a widget here to the inactive area, it removes it from the sidebar, but it allows them to keep their settings and all of the things that you associated with that widget. If you were to take and remove it by dragging it back into the available widgets category, it would deactivate everything. It would just clear the slate. It would give you a clean slate. So just understand the difference between those. When you remove a widget from your sidebar by dragging it into the available widgets area, it clears it, cleans the slate. If you remove one by clicking and dragging it down to the lower area, the inactive widgets area, it retains all of its settings and all of the things that you associated with it. So hopefully that helps to clear up the difference between plugins and widgets and shows you how you can install plugins on your site, and once you've installed the plugins, how you can drag those widgets into your various sidebars, whether those be your primary sidebar or your home page if you happen to have dynamic content on your home page, or footer widgets, whatever it is that your site is set up for, this is where you will install and activate those widgets.